I want to talk about the response to this attack because various world leaders urged Israel to show restraint here. President Biden said he called Prime Minister Netanyahu on Saturday after the attack, quote, to reaffirm America's ironclad commitment to the security of Israel. But reports also indicate that President Biden said America would not show support if there was a response. What do you make of that response?
Terrible. The worst possible thing that he could do right after doing the best possible thing he could do. And that's what the real just quandary of this presidency really is. Inherently contradictory in its policies and strategy, which just projects confusion and weakness to our enemies. And so it's a great thing that the United States came to Israel's defense on Saturday night. I worked on Capitol Hill for a decade. One of the things that I focused on working for former Representative and then Senator Mark Kirk was on the missile defense cooperation between the United States and Israel. We worked on this Arrow missile program for years, making sure it was funded, first Arrow 2 and then Arrow 3. We worked on deploying an X-band radar into the Negev Desert back in 2008, making sure that our satellite capabilities were fully integrated with Israel's missile defense capabilities. Supporting joint exercises between the United States and Israel to practice for exactly what happened on Saturday night. Our militaries have actually practiced this scenario for more than a decade. So this was something that was years in the making, but a credit to the administration for stepping up and providing this overwhelming defensive support for Israel, along with the United Kingdom, that deserves credit as well. Then he decides to just pull Israel back and say, hey, congratulations, you just suffered the largest ballistic missile, cruise missile attack against your country in history, an unprecedented assault by the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism on a quest for nuclear weapons. Please don't do anything now in response. And he tells that to the world, reassuring the supreme leader that this is now the new baseline for escalation. So it doesn't make any sense to me. Why would you want to have to put our country, the United States, in a position to not deter the Iranians from doing this again? In fact, encouraging the Iranians to do this again at an even more dangerous level, which means that we're going to be back at this at some point, providing the defense of Israel, working with the Israelis, as we will need to because they are a close ally. But wouldn't it be better to actually deter the Iranians from doing this again? Of changing the Supreme Leader's calculation into a miscalculation, so he pays a tough price right now, a high cost right now, and says, wow, I went too far, I'm not doing that again. Instead, we're signaling to him, great job. Hey, glad it worked out this time, 99% of what you sent over coming out of the sky. Not sure if it will the next time. We actually have administration officials saying that now to reporters. Not sure if it'll work out as well next time, as a warning to Israel. Not sure if that's supposed to be a veiled threat or an assessment of the technology, which looked pretty good on Saturday night. But the bottom line is you're not supposed to be a turtle just taking constant ballistic missiles and cruise missile attacks. It's not a way to live. It's not a way any democracy can live. You know, the idea of missile defense is to ensure you don't get destroyed in a missile attack so that you have time to respond, restore deterrence, or actually degrade or destroy the enemy that attacked you. That's the point of missile defense. The idea that you're just going to sit here with a force field around you and say, "Nana boo boo, you can't touch me," that's not how it works. So I'm very, very distraught by the president's reaction, and more so, the inaction in non-military areas. Equally as important. Right now, we have a $10 billion sanctions waiver that the president just reissued last month, giving the Islamic Republic of Iran access to a new $10 billion to spend as they want on what they call non-sanctionable areas, debt payments, imports, all kinds of stuff. It's budget support. That's what it is. $10 billion that they get here to spend over here, $10 billion freed up over there for illicit activities. We've been letting their oil flow to China without enforcing a single sanction for more than a year. Why? All part of this appeasement accommodation campaign to try to keep the Iranians from escalating further on their nuclear program in particular. And we have not worked with the Europeans to get them to designate the Revolutionary Guard Corps as a terrorist organization, or snap back the UN sanctions that we could do very quickly with a letter to the Security Council and bring back the embargo on their missiles and their drones and their conventional arms and all that. Why aren't we doing any of that? And can you imagine we aren't changing any of these policies after Saturday night? Okay, it's one thing on the military side. I get it. It's controversial. It's escalatory. You have to think about the next moves here. What's Iran going to do? What are you targeting? You got to think that through. It doesn't have to be today. It doesn't have to be tomorrow. But even in the non-military tools, nothing is changing. There's going to be some symbolic sanctions actions while the money keeps flowing to Tehran. Absolutely, we are rewarding Iran for what they just did. We are paying the regime for attacking our ally, attacking Americans, and setting fire to the Middle East, distracting all of us, and dislocating the economy. We have to stop this policy of accommodation and appeasement. It is what is leading to escalation, not our ally.